Hi, I'm Onyeka Igwe reporting for Worldwide here at the Cabaret Without Borders event. This event is hosted by the Manifesto Club here at an East London gallery called the Rochelle School. The event will be jam-packed full of political performances and speeches celebrating the freedom of movement for all and opposing the Home Office's new controls against visiting artists and academics. We're now here with Josie, who's the founder of the Manifesto Club. Can you tell me a little bit about the event and why you're hosting it?
We're hosting it because these regulations came through last November, meaning that anyone who wants to come to the country as an artist or an academic has to go through a whole set of new procedures, have their fingerprints taken, eye scans. People aren't going to be able to visit. And there's real outrage within the artistic community and, I think within the public at large as well. This is a really important freedom issue. Freedom of movement is one of the most important freedoms we have. And, these rules are unworkable and dehumanising and treat non-EU visitors as, as suspicious and needing to be monitored all the time. So we're having this event really to protest against those, but also to celebrate artistic exchange and exchange of ideas.
So what can we expect from the event today?
A very varied series of performances, so some music, some quizzes, some political talks about different aspects of free movement and about these regulations. So I think it's all the different people who signed our petition.
Okay, if people want to know more and sign the petition, how can they do that?
The petition's on the Manifesto Club website, manifestoclub.com. It's an online petition, 6,000 signatures so far. Very easy, just click and put your name in.
Tell us a little bit about your performance tonight?
Yeah, basically a few years ago I started a project that was looking at an actress called Hattie McDaniel who played Mammy in Gone with the Wind, and she was the first black actress to win an Oscar in 1939, and the project looked at her career and how she was typecast as this kind of character. As part of that, I sort of did this whole installation and performance where I got dressed up as her. So tonight Mammy's going to be a toilet attendant. Be making sure you wash your hands and leave Mammy a tip as well.
Thank you everyone for coming to our event, Cabaret Without Borders. The Cabaret coincides perfectly with the launch of the Manifesto Club's report, which was launched today. Had a very good news coverage about the report. It's a few months of frantic collation of evidence, of case studies, based on the petition, based on surveys, and based on the thousands of people that have given us information about the effects of this draconian regulation. We will be submitting this to Phil Willis very soon. He's the Immigration MP. Another artist who was recently barred from entry, a Canadian singer called Alison Crowe, and she was stopped from entering at Gatwick Airport, detained for 11 hours. Very difficult and heavy-handed procedures by the UK Borders Agency. They took her passport away and she was deported back to Gatwick. It's scandalous. Alison Crowe is now a supporter of the campaign against the Home Office. She has sent us only yesterday a very short clip from Canada News, and we're going to play that because I think it really hit home on how the international community is viewing this ridiculous legislation.
Good evening. Nominal singer Alison Crowe is deported back to Canada tonight after an international incident at London's Gatwick Airport. The 27-year-old songstress was about to start a European tour when she ended up being detained for 10 hours, interrogated, shipped home, and told not to come back. Scott Ryan has the story.
It all started Tuesday morning when the Nanaimo-born singer and her band landed at London's Gatwick Airport to start their European tour. It would be her 5th trip to the UK.
But this time she said what she was doing, and they said, step aside, please. And they put Alison and her two Canadian companions in a holding pen, then brought a caged van and transported them under guard to a hidden location at Gatwick, where they put them in solitary confinement.
It was shaping up to be a banner year for the 27-year-old singer. It turns out the government passed new anti-terror legislation in late 2008, requiring strict monitoring and sponsorship of musicians who were allowed into Britain, documents these Canadians didn't have. But Duplessis said the treatment and deportation crossed a line.
Putting people in rooms, separating them, treating them as if they're, Al-Qaeda.
The stories now captured international headlines, but it's too late for Crow, who's on a plane bound for Canada today and told not to return to the UK.
Yeah, the Home Office recently sent out a press release to publicise its new regulations, and it was concerning a Turkish man that had stopped at Liverpool John Lennon Airport. And this Turkish man had a number of items in his luggage, including a magician's stage prop box. And he claims to be on his way to the Intercontinental Stage Magic Championships in Blackpool. The Home Office checked his documents, found out he didn't have the regulation, fingerprints, eye scans, etc., and sent him back to Turkey. The tragic thing about these regulations is that they are completely without purpose. There is no Al-Qaeda missionaries going to the Intercontinental Stage Magic Championships in Blackpool. And all the kind of mechanisms of these new laws, all the kind of different elements to them, the fingerprinting, the keeping of documents in drawers, none of these elements actually have any productive function. They're really rules for the sake of rules, procedures for the sake of procedures. And I think this is a new kind of law that we're seeing now a lot in this country and in the West in general. What exactly is the point of the regulation which states that if a student misses 10 expected interactions with the university, that the lecturers are supposed to note this fact and contact the UK Borders Agency? What does missing 10 expected interactions mean? You know, they've got flu, they've fallen in love, they don't like their lecture series. The 9/11 terrorists attended all their lectures. They were very, very good students. That wasn't the trouble. I think the other thing that this does is really makes arts organisations and universities into kind of outposts of the UK Borders Agency. It makes them state agents. And what they're really asking academics to do and the heads of galleries to do is to inform on the people they've invited to come to this country. These rules are really outrageous, and I think that there is a real chance to take them on, and there's also a possibility just for simple acts of resistance. There's professors who've signed a document saying they're not going to keep the biometric files on their students. They're saying that we're not going to keep these photocopies, we're not going to tell you if haven't been to the lecture for 10 times, etc. And I think that just saying that we will not do this, I think that is a very strong statement that could really dent it. And I think if 50 people do this, they'll get punished. But if 5,000 people do it, then that's a different story. In developing ideas as an artist or a thinker, it's as natural to move from place to place, to build relationships with different people, to explore ideas of different people, as it was when the Renaissance thinkers moved from city to city and said, wherever I lay my hat, that is my home. And how much richer the UK is for Turkish musicians, African dancers, and how much more do our relationships with those people mean than our relationships with a bureaucracy that invents rules that doesn't mean anything. So I think this is a time to say no to pointless bureaucracy and yes to these relationships of collaboration that we choose for ourselves with people with whom we share a common purpose, people from all around the world. And if we can say that, enough of us, loud enough, there's a chance that we can actually turn this thing around and make them think again.
every society, the ultimate question is who decides? The reason we are deprived from the right to associate with foreigners the way we wish, I'm told, is that we might invite to these shores bandits and terrorists. Maybe the artists or the friends or the business partners you engage with are prone to carry bombs. It is all rather sad and stupid. Note that I'm not sure that I'm in favor of open borders. I don't believe that people have a right to appear on your doorstep, drop their bags in your living room, and expect to be fed, clothed, and to sleep on your sofa when you have not invited them. But, on the other hand, if you do invite foreigners, aliens, and together, as an NGO, as an association, a church, or indeed as a business, we may want to invite thousands and thousands and thousands of refugees and workers, then it becomes our responsibility, and it is no one else's business. Don't let other people make this decision for you.
I have a motto, which is no innovation without intercourse. And you can take that every which way you like. 5 years ago, I went into my local wine shop, and there was a new young man behind the counter. And he looked a bit down, and I said hello, and how are you, and that sort of thing. And I could tell at once from his accent that he wasn't English, and also slightly from his very charming appearance. And the next time I went in, he looked very down indeed, and I said, "What's your name?" And he said, "I am Vahid." And I said, "And where are you from?" And he said, "Iran." And to shorten the story, we became friends. He had come because he wanted to get into a British university, and he didn't know how to go about it, and he had no friends who could help him. So I was able to help him and advise him. And now, of course, he would probably have been deported because he was not able to fulfill the new conditions. Now, no innovation without intercourse. My intercourse with Vahid enabled me to write the last part of my most recent novel that was published a couple of weeks ago. After my parents had paid the money, we waited for instructions. It seemed a long time, although it was only 10 days. Then I was told to pick up an e-ticket for the bus that would take me on the first part of the journey, and the documents that would see me across the borders, first into Turkestan and then across through Europe. I could take only one small bag, which my mother packed for me. The bus is to leave at dawn. It's still cold in the chill wind coming down from the mountains, with only a smear of light showing in the sky. My father comes with me to the village square. "Hi, Saeed, what are you waiting for? Let's go." It's Hamid from my class at school. I hadn't known he'd be on the bus, although we'd often discussed going to the West, to Europe, but he'd always said his parents couldn't afford it. The driver starts the engine, and the old bus shudders and groans with the effort. I hope the brakes are the best part of it when we come to the mountains. The driver guns the engine, and we begin to move.
as you can hear, everyone's leaving. It's been a really, really good event. There's been lots of different performances, really interesting perspectives on this issue. But what I think is that the emphasis tonight has been on artists, academics, those who've been invited to the UK, and how it's really, really bad that they are facing really hard controls to be able to come and stay here. But what about all those people that haven't been invited, who aren't artists, who aren't academics, who haven't had the chance to fulfil their potentials? Shouldn't they also be able to come to the UK? I thought this campaign should shift its emphasis for just freedom of movement for artists, but also freedom of movement for all.